All right, why don't we go ahead and get started today? You're all here for the State Charter School Facility Incentive Grant Program webinar. Good morning. My name is Katrina Johansson. I'm the Executive Director of the California School Finance Authority. We want to thank you for joining us for our webinar today. This is the second funding round under our 2024 $30 million federal grant award. Under this round, we will be awarding approximately $10 million. We are delighted to be with you and appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate. We know that as school leaders, your focus is always on creating the best possible learning environments for your students, and we recognize that affordable facilities are an essential part of that mission. Throughout today's session, our team will walk you through the program requirements and provide practical guidance. We encourage you to ask questions using the chat feature, and our team will do their best to answer your questions. Any questions that are not answered today, we will follow up with answers. Thank you again for your leadership, your commitment to excellence, and your continued dedication to serving students across our state. Next slide. Today you're going to hear from Will Jarrell. He's our Supervisor 2 who oversees the team that manages this program. Daniel Madrid, Fatima Anwar, and Scott Zugnoni are also supporting this program and will be participating in today's webinar. So with that, I'll turn it over to Will.
Thank you very much, Katrina. And once again, welcome to our webinar. Just a few housekeeping things. If you want to make sure your microphones are muted and no need to turn on your cameras, use the chat to ask any questions, but limit the chat to the current application. If we can't answer the questions, we'll be responding via email. So in the chat, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information, that would make it much easier for us to get back to you. Questions may also be emailed to incentivegrants@treasurer.ca.gov. Everybody who's on this call from CSFA monitors that email inbox, so it's a great way to get in touch with us. And by the way, this webinar is being recorded and it'll be available on our website in the next few days. The purpose of our webinar today is really to go over some changes in the grant, talk about eligibility. There are a few changes to our preference points calculations. We'll talk about ineligible and eligible costs, the funding formulas, the semi-annual certifications which are required, and of course, how to get paid using the fiscal system with the Form 204. So here's the table of contents for today's meeting. As you can see, we're going to go through quite a bit of stuff, much of which I just touched on in the last slide. So take a quick look at the overview here, and we will get started. So the Incentive Grant Program is a competitive program. We determine awards based off of preference points, which I'll go over shortly. The funding determinations are formula-based. They have annual caps, and they're in two categories. Basically, you have the rent, lease, Prop 39 category, and then the purchase, acquisition, construction, renovation category. Those two categories are how you will apply, what you will apply to when you do your applications. The grants are provided as a 3-year award. They're paid out over 36 months, assuming that there's continued eligibility. As I noted before, there's a biannual certification, and that's the hinge point to determine ongoing eligibility. There are proposed updated regulations that are going through the regulatory process. Those are going to guide us through this funding round, and they will be posted on our website in the next day or so. The big program changes really are that it's a $10 million funding round in each of 3 rounds, a total of $30 million under the 2024 grant. There's preference points criteria that were updated, and it includes locale codes for the top 6 awards. I'll touch on that briefly. There is a disaster preference. There is a requirement for Build America, Buy America requirements, and there is a new charter authorization certification, all of which we will go into shortly. So I'll hand it over to Fatima, who will talk about program eligibility.
Thank you, Will, and welcome everybody. I will be speaking about the program eligibility. If you have any questions regarding this, please don't hesitate to send us an email. So to start off, the school must be an approved charter and have already been awarded and in place when you apply for the application. It should have completed at least 1 year of completion of operations with at least 80% instruction being classroom-based. For the demonstrated cost, it could be previous or the current year. And then for construction, renovation, or purchase projects, proof of site control would need to be shown. Next slide, please. Thank you, Scott. Moving on, you must be a nonprofit. This will be verified, so please make sure all your requirements for this condition are up to date. Also, schools that are participating in SB 740 will not be eligible for the incentive grant. Please keep that in mind. If you need more clarification or have any questions regarding this, please do send us an email. Next slide. And I'm going to hand off for the charter authorizer certification to Will.
Thank you, Fatima. This is a pretty big change for us. We're no longer going to use the good standing confirmation form. We're going to use a charter authorization certification, a charter authorizer certification. This is a document that goes to your charter authorizer, and all they're doing is going to let us know that none of the ed code violations or comments here are in place. So there's a failure to meet generally accepted accounting principles, violations of the law, a written of notice violation, a written notice of intent to revoke, or active proceedings to revoke the charter. If any of those are in process right now, according to your charter authorizer, then you will not be eligible for the incentive grant program. Also, this does go to your charter authorizer, but Scott's really good at getting to the charter authorizer to make sure we have this. But we may at some point have to ask you to reach out to your charter authorizer and say, hey, can you complete the form if we're not having any luck with getting this form? It is required, a required form. So I'm going to start off with the preference points, kind of an overview here. As it's described in the program regulations in 10.182, I want you to focus on the updated regulations once we get those posted, but I'm going to go through what the updated regulations say. The points are used to rank applicants in case there's oversubscription. And just to let you know, there were over 160 applicants to the first round. 90 were determined eligible, and 11 awards were actually granted during the first round of the incentive grant program. The first 6 awards are going to be distributed using locale codes. Now, the locale codes are a federally designated code for different areas, depending on where your school is. It could be ranked as, it could be a town or rural area, a suburban area, or an urban area. We don't set those codes. Those codes are done by the feds, but we're going to use those to distribute the top 6 awards, with the highest ranked town rural award being the highest ranked town rural will get the first award, then the highest ranked suburban will get the second, and the highest ranked urban will get the third. We'll start it over again with the next 3 awards with town, rural, suburban, and urban. So the top 6 awards will be distributed between the 3 locale codes. They're going to be evenly distributed using the first 6 awards. After that, it's based off of the highest preference points ranking, highest preference point ranking, regardless of your locale code. There's a maximum of 130 points for the preference points, and if there's not data available, points will not be assigned. And I just want to point out that we're using CDE certified data. So we're not, and I'll touch on this a couple of times, we're not using the dashboard. We're using what comes out of CDE as CDE certified. If there are no points, we won't assign points. Or if there's no data, we won't assign points. So the categories are free and reduced price meals. There is also your the Nearby and Every Student Succeeds Act Assistance School, other equity demographics, student performance, student choice, and disaster preference. We'll start off with the free and reduced priced meals. On the right, you'll see a sliding scale, and it's based off the percentage of pupils that are eligible for free and reduced meals. You can see the points assigned go from 0 basically to 60 points. It's a total of 60 points based off of where you are. The preference points are assigned based off of the data collected by CDE for grades K-12. Once again, this is the largest point category, so it's a total of 60 points possible. Next up, we have preference points for being near a ESSA school. That is, the points are assigned if the charter is located within driving distance of any CSI or ATSI designated school. We do this by using the locale codes again. So if you're within 3 miles, you're in a city or urban locale code. If you're within 3 miles of a CSI or ATSI school, then you will be assigned 10 points. If you're within 10 miles for a suburban school, it'll be 10 points, and then 15 miles for a town or rural school. Again, we base this off of CDE's designation as CSI for comprehensive school, comprehensive support and improvement, or the additional targeted support and improvement. If they have those designations, you're within the distance indicated below, you'll get 10 points. We also use other equity demographics, categories that I'm sure you're very familiar with: English learners, foster youth, homeless, unhoused, and students with disability. Basically, if your school serves a larger percentage of one or more groups listed below, compared to your chartering authority, you'll get 2.5 points for each of those groups. So if your percentage of English learners is higher than your chartering authority, you'll get 2.5 points. If foster youth, they're not higher than the charter authority, you won't get any points for that. So it's a total of 10 points possible, and the figures are based off of the state's most recent Census Day enrollment data that is certified by CDE. Then we also have preference points for student performance. Again, this is CDE certified data. It's not the dashboard, and there'll be questions probably down the road. Hey, the dashboard says one thing and you say another. We use the CDE certified data. That is available to everybody, but it won't be available most likely until the middle of November. I see the question if this is applicable, if the authorizer is the county. Yes, it is. Same as your district. I believe it is. Karen, let me get back to you on that for sure. I want to check the regs to make sure, but I believe it would be the county as well. So for student performance, it's based off of the certified data, not the dashboard. It's in English, language arts, and math. And basically, we're looking to see what your level is for the last reported data, and then what your progress is. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with the grids and what those look like. An example would be if you're very high in English language arts, but you only maintained in terms of progress, you'd get 6 points for English language arts. If you were ranked high for math and for your level, and you maintained progress over for the most recent CDE reported data, you'd get 4 points. So that's a total of 10 points for both. So the total possible is 20, and you could get a total possible for each of 10 points. 10 points for English language arts and 10 points for math. Okay, and it's also school choice. So again, CDE certified data, and it's comparison between the charter school's distance from the standard measure to the chartering authority's distance from the standard measure. If you are higher than the district or chartering authority in terms of the distance from the standard measure, you'll get 5 points. If you're not higher, you don't get points and that goes for English language arts and math. So there's a total of 10 points possible, 5 for English language arts and 5 for math. And we also have new to this round, we have disaster preference points. So if a charter school is directly affected by a disaster that's a declared state of emergency by the government, by the governor or the feds, you may be eligible for disaster preference points. That's a total of 20 points. So for schools that are reimbursing lease or rent costs, you need to be permanently displaced from your previous facility or lost classroom space because you've been co-located. Another school has been co-located with you based off of a disaster. For schools that are reimbursing construction, renovation, acquisition costs, you need to be permanently displaced from your previous facility or your current facilities are directly damaged by the disaster. Now, if you fall into this category, we'll know that because you'll check it in the application, but we'll probably have a further confirmation with you about what exactly the situation was and what that looks like before we determine whether or not you'll actually get the preference points. So that may be a conversation as we move forward. Connie, I'm going to hold that question at the moment, and we will get back to you. For both Connie and Karen, can we make sure that we get your email addresses so we can address this, your questions specifically? So I think I'm handing it over to Fatima. Is it back to you, Fatima?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, for sure.
For the eligible costs, we have base rent, lease, mortgage, debt service, and Proposition 39, payments for existing and new facilities. These funds, they are given in 36 equal monthly disbursements, and you have to stay eligible throughout the period. For purchase, construction, and renovation schools, the disbursements are made when the costs are submitted and approved by CSFA. They may be used for current or future costs for up to a 3-year period. Next slide, please. Thank you, Scott. These grant funds are dispersed in arrears and they are submitted to the authority with certified labor forms and invoices. For any project, the description has to be submitted when you submit the application, and it must be approved by the authority. All projects must comply with Build America, Buy America Act, which is BABA. Any of the non-administrative labor must meet the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage requirements, both federal and state, and be paid for the entire project. The authority will review the forms that are submitted to ensure that the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage requirements have been met. Next slide, please. And then for ineligible costs, these are before July 1st, 2026. So please make sure you check the dates on those invoices before submitting. Also ineligible are projects for renovation that are receiving funds from CSFP. The grant funds may not be used to make charter for school facility program payments to the state and to satisfy a CSFP recipient's local matching share. Again, please do email us if you have any questions. I will be handing it off to Daniel now for the program formula.
Thank you, Fatima. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I will be going over the program formula for the base rent, lease, Prop 39, mortgage, and debt service. To start off with, for this one, the annual award cap for this one is $250,000. The formula is calculated off of a lesser of 2, which is the current enrollment multiplied by 1,500 or 75% of the school's annual facility cost. In our example, we have XYZ Charter, which has an enrollment of 121 students. You multiply that by 1,500 and you get $181,500. Then we have a lease of 125,000 at 75%, which is 93,750. So the lesser of the two would be the 93,750. So in this example, the annual award is going to be the 93,750, and across 3 years, it would be $281,250 for the total award amount for this one. Next slide, please. Now I'll be going over the formula for the purchase, acquisition, design, new construction, and renovation, which is similar to what we just went over for Prop 39. For this one, though, there is an award cap of $500,000. As for the funding formula, is calculated off a lesser of the two, which is the current enrollment, this time multiplied by $2,000, or 75% of the project cost. In this example, we have XYZ charter with an enrollment of 121 students. You multiplied by $2,000, 2,000, which is $242,000. For project cost, using an example of $2.5 million, we're dividing by 3, just because this the grant is for 3 years. So 2.5 million divided by 3 would be 833,333.33 cents, and 75% of that would be $625,000. So in this example, the annual award is going to be calculated at the $242,000. Across 3 years, it would be the $726,000 for the total award amount. So now I would like to pass this off to Scott.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, next up, for the semi-annual certifications, it's very important that you make sure you get all the documentation listed below submitted no later than March 1st and September 1st. Otherwise, you risk not receiving funding. And I will go into more specifics on late certifications in a moment. Please remember you must notify us if there's any potential delays or complications in getting these documents submitted. Our team is always ready to answer, assist with the certification process. And for SAM registration, this gives your school a unique entity number, or UEI, and verifies you're eligible for funding. So please be sure to keep your SAM registration current and that it stays up to date. The link on this slide will provide some guidance on the registration process and its overall purpose. And for ongoing grant requirements, as mentioned before, if you're not getting your certifications done, it could make you ineligible to receive funds. If you do miss the deadline, you will lose out on your first monthly disbursement for that certification period. And from there, you will be given 30 calendar days to submit the necessary documentation to get your 5 remaining disbursements. If you miss 2 consecutive certification periods, you will be considered ineligible for receiving funds under the program, and those funds will revert back to the authority and cannot be dispersed retroactively. The application will launch on Monday, August 3rd at 10 a.m. and will close on September 15th at 5 p.m. When the application opens, there will be a link to the application on the incentive grant webpage, which is linked on this slide. 2 key points here: only online applications will be accepted, and funding determinations will be made no earlier than January 2027. It should be noted that initial eligibility will be made in October, but no official decisions will be made on those deemed eligible until we receive CDE to certified data in November. If you have any questions or need support, please be sure to reach out to our team at the email listed as early as possible to ensure your application gets put through in a timely manner. And now I will be handing it back to Daniel.
Thank you, Scott, and hello again. I will now be going over the Payee Data Record Standard Form 204. The 204 form is required by the state of California for any non-governmental individual or organization that will receive a payment from a state agency. The form is used to add, update the awardee information to the financial information state for California, also known as the FISCAL. The form is available on the California Department of General Services website, or it can be requested from us if needed. Next slide, please. Okay. We'll be going over the naming portion of section 1. A lot of people will struggle with this section because it is a little confusing. Under the name section, you will be entering the name that appears on the payee's federal tax return or your federal employer identification number, your FEIN number. Under business name, this is where you will put your school's name or your DBA name. So in our example here, the FEIN number is tied to the ABC Charter Company Incorporated, and the school is called the ABC Charter Academy High School. And then in this example, you would put the ABC Charter Company Incorporated under the name section, and the ABC Charter Academy High School under the business name. We ask that when you're filling out this form to make sure that you confirm that this information is correct, as the name section is subject to IRS TIN matching, and what's submitted on the form must be identical between the tax returns, the standard form 204, and application information. If not, it can lead to a delay in payments from unresolved naming issues. Next slide, please. Next, I will be going over the mailing address portion of section 1. The mailing address is the address where you would like to receive your disbursements. This does not have to be the school's address. So if you have a back office provider or a central office where you receive mail, you can put the address here. If the school or your back office provider moves or changes the location, a new standard form 204 will be needed. So any changes to the mailing address without notifying us, though, can lead to a delay in disbursements. Since we don't know if you've moved or not, we may end up submitting and sending disbursements to an old address. So it is important that if you move, to please let us know that you've moved so we can help you out and get a new 204 form filled out and get everything updated. So we can't disperse any funds until a 204 form has been submitted and approved into the fiscal system, which can take up to 2 business days depending on time of submission. Next slide, please. Okay, next, we have the appendix and reference materials. We have 4 quick web links here. The first link is to our incentive grants homepage on the CSFA website, where you can find more information about our program, along with program regulations. Second link here, we have a direct link to the standard form 204 form on the DGS's website. The third link here is a link to the IRS's website. That's the link we use to look up your federal employer identification number. If you need more information there, that also helps you look it up there. And the final link there, that link will allow you to join our listserv so you can receive notification blasts from CSFA, which does include application reminders for the incentive grant program as well. And with that, I would like to pass it off to Will.
Thank you, Daniel, very much. I'll hand it back to Katrina in just a few minutes, but I did want to go over a couple of things. One, here's some contact information for you. You might want to take a screenshot of this. We'll have the PowerPoint on the website within the next day or so. But there's a link to the CSFA website, the incentive grant website, and all the people that are involved with us. Again, I might call your attention to the program email, which is incentivegrants@treasurer.ca.gov. That goes to everybody, and that's the one which is probably going to get the most rapid response. Again, I wanted to check with, we have our expert on the line here, Ryan Story, who's our OAL expert and 740 expert. Ryan, there were a couple of questions early on. Do you want to answer those now, or would you like to follow up with an email?
I think follow up with email. One general thing that just to state regarding eligibility, in both programs. One, as we're required, as Katrina mentioned, we're going to go ahead and you'll have to, if you're eligible for FY2026-27, you have to apply to that program. You won't be able to kind of pick and choose in that sense per the requirement for the federal government with this grant. Additionally, it isn't something in perpetuity. It's only when the grant is active. So if you are an SB 740 for this fiscal year and you apply for incentives next fiscal year, there's no concern with that. It's when they're happening at the same time during either the 3-year period of the grant or the individual years of the SB 740 grant itself. So it's not something where historic considerations are reviewed or something in the future. It's just all happening at the same time. And the more specific ones we'll be able to address with email.
Thank you,
And then
sir.
just wanted to confirm with Ryan, I went ahead and answered, but the CD certified data, is it based on seabeds for 26 or 25?
It'll be for the year prior to application because we would not have data available for the current year. So for 26-27, as this is for, we will be using the certified data for 25-26.
Well, there you go, Karen. I missed that one. Okay, shoot to the next slide, if you would, Scott. Just as a reminder about the application, and that starts at August 3rd at 10 o'clock. And reach back out to us if you have any questions. Katrina, let me hand it back to you for our closure.
Yeah, I just want to thank the team. As many of them mentioned, we are available to answer questions prior to submitting an application. And as Daniel mentioned, that SAM registration is critical to allow for funding. So if you're thinking about applying, make sure that you are active in SAM. That's a system of award management. It's a federal portal. I believe we shared the link in the presentation here. So, as you work on your application, you can always go online and make sure that you are active in SAM. Yeah, we appreciate any and all feedback on on the webinar as well as our regulations. We did bring those to the board. So many of the changes that we discussed today were brought to the CSFA board, and we did allow for public comment. So we do have a third funding round, which will commence about this time next year. So we want to thank you all again for your participation in today's webinar. And as Will said, this program is heavily oversubscribed. I think if there's a tiebreaker to the 5th degree, I think it is based on time of submission. Is that right, Ryan?
Yes.
All things being equal. So if you and another school have, the same preference points, some are given higher priority, but, if you're ready to submit, we will be opening that portal here on August 3rd. So that's it for today. I don't see any more questions coming in. Did we want to give it a couple minutes, or were folks ready to hop off?
I think we're probably good at this point. I think CSFA is going to stay on the line. And again, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Stay cool.